And welcome back to Politics Tonight. Democrats coming out of the shutdown deal relatively unscathed, passing a deal to end the shutdown and avoid a debt default nearly unanimously. Joining me tonight on the phone, giving her first interview actually since this whole crisis resolved, Democratic Representative Tammy Duckworth of Illinois' 8th Congressional District. Congresswoman, nice to talk to you again.
It's good to be on with you, Paul.
Well, now that it's over, I have to ask you, same thing I would ask Republicans, which is, was it worth it?
No, I didn't want government shut down in the first place, and all that happened was a lot of people were hurt. Our economy was put into jeopardy at a time when it's just recovering, and let's not let this ever happen again. I'm glad that we have a deal, and I'm hoping that we'll come to an agreement by the December 15th deadline.
So that kind of common question I asked you has been posed to a lot of Republicans since yesterday. Most of them, as you might guess, are saying, yes, it was worth it because we have a principle that America is behind us on this Obamacare thing. They don't want it. We fought the good fight. We'll live to fight another day. Well, what was your sense about the fact that the Republican position of saying, look, we put something on the forefront on the table here, and it's not going to go away?
Well, I think that they failed in their attempts to defund Obamacare, and frankly, the Affordable Care Act is already helping quite a few people. If you have a child that's in college and needs health insurance, if you have a child with a pre-existing condition, you're being helped. But bottom line, we should never, ever hold the full faith and credit of the United States and jeopardize our budget over policy differences. I think there's problems with the Affordable Care Act, and I'm willing to compromise and work to fix them, but let's not hold the nation hostage over it.
So I believe the bill was about 35 pages, and I understand there's a little pork in there here and there. Senator McConnell getting a couple $1 billion for some dam work in his home state of Kentucky. Just curious, were you guys advised? Did you know there was pork in this bill and deal with it, or was nobody really reading the bill? Let's just get the thing passed.
Well, I did not. Right at the end, we got the bill just, I would say, no more than 2 hours before we voted on it, and even less than that, that we got the text of the bill. I voted to reopen government. That's why I cast my vote, and to put the federal employees back to work and to get services to our seniors and our veterans and all of those programs, and then and then we're going to go into conference and discuss the budget through December 15th. And
and of course many are saying this just kicks the can down the road. I think everybody agreed. Harry Reid said last night, no need for champagne right now. I mean, really, all we did was we salvaged a disaster to move on to a difficult time. Do you hold out hope that people will have level heads and actually try and resolve something by their December deadline for a new budget?
Paul, I do hold out hope. I do hold out hope because if you look at how the representatives from Illinois voted, I am so very proud of our delegation that all of us, Republicans and Democrats, except for one, voted to support reopening government.
Yeah, and by the way, that one Republican was Randy Hultgren. I'm just curious. I know he's a Tea Party guy, but did anybody talk to him? Did you know it was coming?
No, I did not talk to him, so it was a surprise to me, and I actually thought that there were more of the Republican delegation voting against it. I'm very proud that, as a delegation, we remain united, and it gives me hope for both the budget, but also for, my next priorities are going to be jobs and immigration. So let's hope we get a transportation bill, and that will be bipartisan, and that we get a comprehensive immigration reform legislation.
Well, and we're going to talk about all those issues. I do want to let me touch on immigration just for a moment, which is some Republicans have said, well, that one's dead now. So is it, I mean, do you get a sense, is it payback time? I mean, was this a kumbaya moment where people will work together, or is it payback time where Republicans will say, sorry, Democrats, that immigration reform you wanted, not happening now?
Well, I hope that they don't go in that direction, and I think that there are many cooler heads in the Republican Party who do want to move this nation forward. And if you look at where the public is on immigration reform, if you look at where businesses are, I held a roundtable, and everybody from chambers of commerce to mayors to the ACLU came, and they all said the same thing. We need comprehensive immigration reform. It's going to mean an additional $1 trillion for our nation's economy over 10 years if we can get this to happen, and we can get this through. So our economy needs it. It's also a humanitarian issue, and it's very bipartisan.
Is Speaker Boehner the right? There was a lot of thought that he could this effort could cost him his speakership. It looks like he'll save it for now. But I'm just wondering, does he have the gravitas it takes to carry on an immigration discussion? I mean, look, whether it's him or somebody else, it's going to be a Republican right now. What is your sense about him and his beliefs on these issues?
Well, I think he did. I'm glad that he brought the bill up for a vote. I mean, it took 16 days for him to allow us to vote on government and on the budget. But bottom line for me, I just hope that he brings the bill up that has passed in a bipartisan way from the Senate. And it was a pretty strong bipartisan passage. I think 76 senators voted for it. And so I don't think that it's any type of a weakness in him if he were to bring up the Senate immigration reform bill.
Now, the process for working on the budget, it's obviously going to be a committee of folks, some senators, some congressmen. Will you be a part of that? Will anybody from Illinois be a part of that group?
I don't know yet. I've not seen the list of names. It's probably going to be, I'll be perfectly honest, as much as I would love to be part of it, folks who are a lot more senior than a freshman in her 10th month in office.
Okay.
But I certainly am making my concerns heard and speaking up, and that's one of the great things about our conference, in that every member gets to speak and talk about what's important to them, and also we get to vote in the way that's best for our constituents. I mean, I voted for the repeal of the medical device tax, for example, not something my party supported, but important for hospitals and the medical device industry in the district.
And so what will your advice or consult be with regard to, as you know, right now it's sequester numbers. Republican will fight to keep those numbers, bring them even lower. Are you going to fight to put the sequester aside and raise some of the budget numbers? Where?
I will fight to raise the budget number. Sequestration has really devastated many programs throughout the nation, and in the 8th District, we're seeing it with educational programs. Our kids in the public school system are being hurt with the elimination of reduction of Title I grant money, which is for kids with special needs. Our hunger programs, all of our food pantries are really under pressure right now.
You're going to fight for those. Hang with me, Congresswoman Duckworth, because we're going to take a break. When we come back, I do know you have other issues to talk about, and we will do that with Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth after these words.